Tell me any government incentive that has really tried to give direction economically to these young people. Incentivize them. And it's very simple, Kevo. It's not a big thing they're asking for. Now, the Minister of Interior is talking of fighting those people through the social media platforms. That is a war that will never end. Let me tell you. It is a war that will never end. The minister should be asking himself, what is the biggest problem these young people are going through, and how can we intervene?
When you say the war will never end, these young people will not relent.
They have nothing to lose, brother. If you have nothing to lose, let me tell you, look at a clear picture of what happened. It was, for me, I was shocked. I never knew it would reach to that extent. You remember the day these young people decided to walk and move into parliament?
Yeah, man.
And these guys were shooting at them, and they were still charging. And these guys didn't go there basically just to destroy and burn things down. They were sending a message that we said we'll go in and we've come in. It was not right according to the law, yes, but we also have to learn as a country, or people in leadership, or concerned citizens. We have to learn from such experiences and understand that this clique is a time bomb, and it's a time bomb that the government and the system has to know how to manage. I'll tell you, I did a small research over a small period of time, because this is something that really affected me, and I always kept saying that the biggest problem Kenya is going to have in future is this young generation. This young generation. And it's a time bomb, because they lack the two critical things any citizen needs: direction and a sense of belonging. So I decided to do a small research and under my own studies, and I took my time, almost 2-3 months, just doing a survey. I was even thinking of putting up a bill, getting MPs and sponsor a bill in parliament that can help curb morality amongst the young people. It's not their problem. Human beings behave in relation to the environment. What we see, the people we sit around with every day, affect our lives. The environment we live in, what we see in TV, what we hear in music, what we hear over the radios, that is what affects and guides our moral status. So I was doing a research on how to control the morality of the society. And I'll tell you, out of more than 100 young people I interviewed, to an extent, most of them I even went to their homes. I just wanted to understand their lifestyles. I'll tell you, out of 100 of them, about 89%, their parents, they are raised by single mothers. And these are things we need to discuss. And out of that 89%, and 90% of that, their mothers are below the age of 40. So mother anadunda, the child also anadunda. So we find that there is no clear direction. And these are things we have to speak as a society. We need to know, where did we go wrong? Where did we lose it? As in, you hear the president every day speak and say, the parents, the kids of today, the young people are losing morals. Oh, parents, you need to talk to your kids. Why not asking yourself, how did we get here as a country? What made us go down that road? And I'll give you a small example. When I was young, my first dream place to go to was South Africa, because I had a friend whose brother was in South Africa, and every time he'll come with so many gifts. So when I made my first good money in 2007, I decided to visit South Africa. And I'll tell you, when I got to the hotel at night, when I was scrolling the videos, the movies and the remote, just channeling to see what movie, from around 11 p.m., I noticed that more than 10 channels were showing Blue Movie.
What?
Okay.
That is in 2007.
My God. Huh?
For those who don't understand Blue Movie, those are porn movies. That is in 2007.
National TV.
And for me, I was shocked, man.
Yeah.
I had never even seen one, by the way. I used to see magazines, Suko Mtaani, long time.
Playboy.
but that was on national TV.
That's crazy.
So the next day in the morning, I asked the cleaner, hey, bro, what's happening here? I saw some very funny videos at night, movies at night. He said, no, in South Africa, it's allowed from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m.
What?
To 5 a.m.
Every day.
Wow.
But it didn't click me at that time. So I said, hey, maybe these people are living on a different kind of planet. When I went to South Africa 3-4 years down the line, it was not the South Africa I saw in 2007.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Crime rate had gone high.
Interesting.
HIV had gone high. Disorder had gone high. And then I sat down and I said, wait a minute. You know, then I understood how the system managed to corrupt the black South Africans in South Africa using a simple tool like media. So imagine for a young girl, every day you're watching TV, you're watching porn. What are the repercussions? Early pregnancies, school dropouts, diseases. Okay, for young boys, what are the repercussions? School dropouts, diseases, and worst of it all, because you get excited, you want to try it, and the rule under the supreme law of the land, for a man, you have to court a girl, and courting a girl means maybe buying her lunch or buying something. So what does that mean? Since you're from a poor background, you're left with no chance than to get into crime, because you need money to sponsor that lifestyle. You need to get a lady, you need to get a girl. So we look at such things. When I sat and looked at such things and saw how it changed. Look at remember 2013, 2014, everyone was talking about HIV levels in SA.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Then I realized this was something that was created by the system, the supremacy systems. And this is the same thing I was talking about Kenya today. My brother, we love our music, we love our entertainment, but we have to speak things as they are. Look at our new forms of music. For the last 4-5 years, what do those music sing about? First, the government should ask themselves, what is one thing that connects or attracts all youth? What is one thing that brings all youth together?
Media, entertainment.
So look at entertainment. What is so common or uncommon in entertainment? You realize in our forms of entertainment, they speak and sing and we hear about 3-4 things. Sex, drugs, crime, sherehe. That is what is in our system.
Alcohol. Party.
You know, we have to speak. This is our country, brother. And these are our young brothers and sisters. There is no point of us talking about economy every day, building a country and leaving it to people who don't know how to handle it.
So when the president says, parents, go back to your families.
Teach your children manners.
My friend, it is a collective responsibility. It is not only the government's responsibility. It's not only the parents' responsibility. It is all of us. When we were being raised, it was communal. You're seen misbehaving in another estate. You get chapward on that side, then they bring you to your home. I'm not saying kids should be chapward, but we should have a collective ideology that there's nowhere else we can go. If we don't take time to correct these small mistakes we're doing as a country, me as their brother, their father, by the way, my age right now, I have a Gen Z child. So I know their kind of thinking. And it's not that they're bad people. No. They lack a sense of belonging. They lack a sense of they belong nowhere socially. They belong nowhere economically. And no one speaks about these things. So why can't they revolt?
C.S. Murkomen gave an example of Australia, how they've decided to police social media. They've banned kids, I think, below the age of, is it 16?
16,
from accessing social media.
Yes.
Do you think he has a point when he said, maybe even Kenya should consider stuff like that?
Yeah, but you know why now you need to understand why South Africa did it. South Africa did not do it because people use social media to abuse or to speak ill of the government. It's because of so much influence on drug usage and sex practices that were happening on social media platforms. That was the main reason why they decided to ban and create that law.
I know Steph, you want to jump in. Where do you foresee this whole online activism evolving towards? I keep on asking folks that question. Now that they are getting a hold of AI, they're getting so smart, then they're ready for anything. However, 20 nayo. So what do you foresee happening? Because like you say, they're not going to relent.
Yes. Now, you see, what maybe the minister does not understand is that today the world has transformed from the third industrial revolution to the fourth industrial revolution, which is the revolution of AI. We've moved from Internet of Things. Now it's AI. What does that tell you? We will soon be seeing those things online without knowing who did them, using those bots, using artificial intelligence. And these kids are getting informed every day. They're learning every day. So for me, whatever they are doing, it is not right. to put someone in a coffin, and people have different ways of expressing their anger. But we need to ask ourselves is, why now? You see, leadership is about solving problems. And you only solve problems by first understanding the root cause. You cascade down the roots and know the root cause of these problems.
Correct.
So if the minister will be telling us, we have realized most of these immoral practices are being shared on social media, so we are going to put up a law to ensure that we control what is said, recorded, and put in audio-visual entertainment platforms. I'll give you an example. You go to Tanzania, they have an organization called BASATA. This BASATA, if you produce a music and you use ill words directly, you get fined, you get banned from producing. Not only you, the director, the production studio, all of them. Yeah. And that is why you've noticed Tanzanians, when they sing, they use myths. They don't sing directly like us.
Mafumbo.
Wanatumia fumbo. But you can't hear those vulgar direct words being uttered by them. And not only music, even drama, even acting, even all forms of entertainment are controlled through that body. So those are the things the leadership should be talking about.
Okay.
How do we start? Why don't we start from first addressing where these problems began, what our young people lack, how we can work with our young people, and we'll have a cohesive environment.
Stephanie.
Yeah, so with the way that the government is dealing with all of these, with the Gen Z issue and with the abductions going on and the current state of the nation, does this show that we actually have a weakness when it comes to our security? And will this lead to other groups like terrorism actually coming in and taking advantage of that?
To be very honest, it's frightening, yeah, because we don't need a security system or people in security leadership who do what you call knee-jerk reactionary tactics. You've abused me, I want to abuse you back.
Exactly.
He's thrown a stone, I'm looking for the next stone and throw it back. We need them to be a bit sober. I understand there is pressure, and most of them, and I've said it's not something to laugh about when most of the people in the security dockets are also saying they are not quite aware of what is happening. You see, the key responsibility of a government is to protect its citizens and the properties of its citizens. So when the government in itself tells you they are not aware, so does it mean we are at risk now, talking of, let's say, other groups now, like the terrorism groups and all that? So how safe are we if our security organs and people in top leadership, for example, the former Attorney General, who's now a minister, yesterday said, I have asked those questions for the last, it's more than 6 months, my sister. It's almost 6 months, from June last year.
Yes.
When the son was abducted.
Yes.
Till now. So does it mean someone who was in a security council, sitting in the security committee, and he was the Attorney General, and he's a minister now,
that's scary,
cannot get answers? Then where do I and you get answers?
Yeah.
So it's a scary situation, and that's why the government needs to come out clean. And as I've said, this issue, if not handled well, it's not going to end. Let me tell you, this is a generation that do not take threats as a solution. Where you arrest one and now the rest will fear. I've told you, they have nothing to lose. These young people have a very different school of thought. These young people don't have goals the way we guys used to have goals, man, and say by 40 I need to buy a plot and build a house. Those guys live for the day. They want to enjoy their lives today. Let me tell you, the government needs to work more on understanding their schools of thoughts.
But that's such a general statement, Mwesh. The president has a bunch of advisors. They're paid so much money.
Yes.
If you were in that team, you're young, you're very smart, you're always out there, you're engaging with youth. And I said, okay, honorable, Kabevi, let's rectify this thing. What's the first practical thing he has to do? The ball is in his court now. He's responsible for the leadership, for the security of our country, the welfare. What's the first thing he has to do to rectify Maneno? Things are getting out of hand.
Yeah, and that's what I've told you. You see, I've never held any government position. But if I tell you the number of things I've always done just to ensure I try to enlighten the young people of this country, it's a lot. And I do it as a personal lifetime duty or my assignment in life, not to get anything. And I have told you, first it begins with understanding these people. Now, who are the people that the president has appointed to advise him on these people? They are the same people who completely do not understand these kids. And if you are keen enough, a majority of even those who are fighting these young people, a majority of those leaders in power who are fighting those people, you will hear them when they go to mashinani, and in their speeches they mention that even their children were in the maandamano. Most of them have mentioned, they've said even my son is a Gen Z and he went to demonstrate. So that tells you there is a disconnect. And the president needs to find and leverage a gap on how to create that relationship. And let me tell you, it is them who know themselves.
When you hear individuals like Ferraccin, use such nasty words. Oscar Sudi, on the other hand, is talking about Tata Mukienda Mbele, Mwende Kando, Huko. This is not where the president is going. For me, when I look at these guys, I perceive them to be sycophants. So specifically Ferraccin, using those type of words. At the same time, you're telling Gen Zs not to abuse the president and use nasty images. So is it a case of I'm trying to find the right words. So the same people who are preaching morality are the same people who are making the president look bad, and these are the people who are going to cost the president the elections come 2027. Could that be true?
I'll be very honest with you. Number one, what you should know is that those are signs of weak people. Let me tell you, it's weakness. Weakness comes out in different ways. And in politics, you look at people at their highest, and then you realize they are low. And at their lowest, that's when they're high. When you hear leaders utter such sentiments, lamenting in front of the country, that tells you things are crumbling down.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if I'm sure there's nothing you'll do to me, whether you make noise or not, will I have time to come and answer you and abuse you?
Nope.
Man, you're not a threat.
Exactly.
So these guys are terrified. That's the reality.
Damn, that's powerful. Yeah.
And they are so deeply terrified for them to lose their sense and speak those words they spoke. Specifically, Ferraccin, who is a father to many. We consider him as our father. He's someone who's been the speaker, someone of respect in the society, in the Muslim community, in the Kenyan society, in the Northeastern society. So it is not easy for him to say that if it is something light. Let me tell you, those guys are frightened. And they are seeing signs, left, right, center.
Yeah, they deny
that things are changing.
Things are changing.
And things are not to their favor. So what do? They play what we call reverse psychology.
Okay.
So they want to show you that they don't give a damn, they don't care, they're stronger than you.
They're strong, yeah.
And, we were this, now we have it, what will you do? Let me tell you, there is nothing that is permanent in this life. Power is transient. There is no one who will say will be here forever. And when you hear someone threaten you to that level, telling you there's nothing you do, let me tell you, that's the weakest person. So I want to tell Kenyans, don't even waste your time on those sentiments being mentioned by those people.
Yes.
And those are the people who are digging that grave faster for the government to go down. They're the ones digging that hole for the government day in, day out, thinking they're threatening Kenyans. But let me tell you, many Kenyans here have nothing to lose, my friend. If you sit with Kenyans out here and you listen to what they're saying, now hawana ubaya, but what you're doing and saying ndio inaongeza ubaya kwa hiyo chumvi.
So I'm just reading one of your tweets, and I wanted you to at least expound, and it's about the open border policy. And you said that the open border policy is the beginning of the end of Kenya. Kenya will be a gone story in the near future. The globalists have held KK government hostage and taken full control of Kenya. Could you just kindly expound on that so we can get to understand what this open border policy is actually doing to the country and why we should...
I think a number of times I've spoken about the global change of governance that is being planned all over.
Yeah.
And it is very clear. When I started speaking about these things, people used to call me a conspiracy theorist and all that. But I'm glad that Kenyans now are seeing where we are headed to. And things I was speaking a year ago, they can now clearly see all these things. Now, there's this ideology of what we call the New World Order. And it's a new system of governance, which entails a one world government, one currency, one president, one identification system, one open system. And in one of the aspects of the leadership, they want to create what you call a liberal state. What do I mean by liberal states? States without borders. So in the near future, if the implementation goes on, and they say it's any Kenyan who has time, they can go read about Vision 2030. They're speculating that by 2030, all these borders will be open. So Kenya will be no more. And they're prospecting to have 4 blocks of the world. We'll have the United America, which will consist of North and South America. We'll have Asia as a block. We'll have Europe as a block, Eastern and the West Europe. And we'll have Africa as a block. But you see, these implementations are not done by force. You see, these white supremacists, or the people spearheading these agendas, are people who took a lot of time and understood how to deal with citizens. They studied human behavior. So they do these implementations through policies. And one of the easiest way to open up the borders is first to cancel the idea of visas and entry requirements. You see, if I open my door, if I let my door open anytime, I leave that gate open and I say anyone can come in, do I have control of who will come into that gate?
You don't.
I do not have. Any other person can come in. Number 2, open border policies. We've seen quite a number of times. Like, for example, the scenario that was in Dadaab camp. We are told that before the World Bank could disburse the last batch of money last year, they gave the government a condition that for us to give you this money, that 1.5 million refugees who are in the Dadaab camp must be integrated into the community. It's not a bad thing by word, but at the end of the day, who are the people we are opening up our borders to? Man, today we are dealing with issues. Just today I saw in the news that there was a terrorism attack that was foiled, and they were supposed to attack, I think, which All Saints or something like that. There was a report today. So what does that tell you? It tells you slowly, these implementations are being passed in this country in a way that people don't understand. Now, one of their key obligations is to create what we call a world digital identity.
Right.
And a number of times we've had the president say we need to have a digital identity.
Yeah.
And the digital identity is going to be connected with what we call the central bank digital currencies, which is going to be the new form of money. So there'll be no more cash. It is your digital ID connected to your digital wallet. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Anytime you misbehave, my brother, it is switched off.
Oh my God.
You understand? So those are the ideologies and those are the systems that are being set up in the world. And in the entire Africa, Kenya has been chosen as the pilot country. That is why all these policies to do with open border policies, movements, issues to do with agricultural policies, health policies, educational policies, that even people in power do not understand. They are all heading towards that agenda of the new world order. So this open border policy ideology, if not handled carefully, let me tell you, we're losing this country very fast. And not in a bad way. You walk in this Nairobi, I was in traffic now coming here. Out of 10 hawkers you meet out here, 7 to 8 are foreigners. True or false?
True. Very true.
Yeah.
It's a foreigner selling jugu, it's a foreigner selling nyanya, it's a foreigner selling socks, it's a foreigner selling KDF mandazis and tea. And we seem not to understand where these people come from, what they do, and no system of monitoring.
But why Kenya?
Okay, if we think they're doing business here and it will benefit us, do they have systems? Does our taxman have systems on how to integrate them so they pay taxes? So these guys are making money from us and sending the money back home. We have to speak about these things.
But you mentioned how they're using Kenya as a pilot country.
Yes.
For all these funny agendas that they have.
Yes.
Why Kenya? Why Kenya specifically? And why is our president so convinced? Why is he so aligned with their funny agendas?
Yeah, you see, the worst thing about leadership and leadership in Africa is that most of the leaders always have a price. And I'll tell you, if you want to know what someone is thinking, if you want to know the leadership of the day, listen to the words they say. A number of times the president has said his hands are tied. You know, when the senior most boss of the country tells you his hands are tied, what does it tell you? What does it mean?
He's not in leadership.
Exactly.
Do you get it?
He's not in
But you see, the problem is we keep bashing him and fighting him. But let me tell you, what Kenya is dealing with is bigger than William Ruto. That man has been held hostage by these cabals.
Damn.
Let me tell you, last year, people demonstrated, went to the streets because of the finance bill. By last week, before Christmas, the same bills were ascended into law. New tax measures, higher taxes on nicotine and tobacco, higher taxes on alcohol and sugar, high taxes on imported goods such as tiles and coal. There is also introduction of what you call foreign investment tax, which is coming in. So that means companies like Uber, Bolt will have a new tax of about, I think, 6%. So what that means, you who uses Uber, your fare is going to go up, so it affects you more. There's also they scrapped the import duties for the MP cars, which is about 1 billion shillings. So it is us to cater for that. There's also they also put up new taxes on electrical transformers and printing ink prints. This printing ink. So you see, at the end of the day, all those things that we were fighting at that time are coming in slowly, and no one seems to realize those are things that were signed. It's a law now. Yeah, they scrapped off what you call the housing, national housing relief, and what you call the post. It's called post-retirement medical relief.
Yeah.
Both of them are also scrapped. So does that mean we have to go deeper in our pockets?
Yeah.
But these are conditions, when you look at them clearly, it is not really the president who's pushing for those things. It is the same Bretton Woods institutions who have this country captured. It is the same institutions that are pushing for those policies.
Yeah.
The GMO agendas, all this Bill Gates nonsense.
All those things you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know, now you're told your cows have to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
My brother.
The one that's really crazy for me is you cannot share organic seeds with your neighbor.
Yeah, and
It's
a
now
law.
illegal and people don't know.
Yeah, it's a law. It's a law, and now they're coming after your cows. A study, just to mention.
Yeah.
A study the other day in China, they vaccinated a number of cows, and the worst thing is they were able to trace the mRNA vaccines in the milk.
Oh no.
Whoa.
Wow.
In America, they did a test with 500 pigs, and they vaccinated them with the mRNA vaccines. A week later, hundreds of them had died. And the ones that were alive, they could trace the vaccines in the meat. So what does that mean? It is, in reality, it is not just the cows that are being vaccinated, it is us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
We're about to wrap up, and there's that story for the Raila Odinga and his campaign for the AUC chairperson. Last time I had a conversation with you, even before he kicked off his campaign, you told me you will give 10 million shillings to Raila Odinga. Let me. I wanna compose my words well.
Yes.
If at all,
Yeah.
he will get this thing.
Yes.
I think you mentioned something like that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Right.
Mheshimiwa,
So why is how your statement?
Yeah, and I still have it.
And you still have the 10 million. I know you're a man of means.
No, and I'm very sure
Yes.
he will still not get it.
Come on, JP. Remember that
You
a
see-
few weeks ago, you told me from your sources,
Yes.
Rao is going to win this thing unopposed.
Yes. And,
When she's here.
and I'm going to tell him why. That's my opinion.
Exactly.
Because I kind of feel like the Westerners that you're talking about, the ones who are controlling this, whatever,
Yes.
the countries, they feel that he's holding allegiance to them and is a perfect person to take over that seat because they need another puppet
So
to hold
which
the
Western
AU.
country controls more of Africa and it seems weak today? It's the French. So the French will ensure they have their Frenchman in there.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting it, how
Yeah.
it goes? Anyway, all in all, I will not base my facts on that ideology. For me, I look at what is happening at home.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you, I told you, number one, if Raila was very sure he's going to win the AUC seat, it is time he would have been preparing to take over power using ODM. He would have made ODM stronger. But what did Raila Odinga do? All the possible threats that were in ODM and all the people who were talking of succeeding him in
Neutral.
ODM, he sacrificed them and gave them to William Ruto. That is Ali Hassan Joho, Mbadi, Oparanya and Opiyo Wandayi. Yeah? Now look at ODM in itself. Even look at on Friday, last week. You hear there was a very heated debate. And ODM seems to be split. The Secretary General is saying we cannot support this.
Exactly.
But the other side, they're saying we will support this. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, ODM is under the leadership of one man called Raila Amolo Odinga. When Sifuna speaks, it is Raila Odinga speaking.
Okay.
When Badi speaks, it is Raila Odinga speaking.
Yeah.
And that is why, politics is about being smart. And Raila Odinga is a man I respect in this game because he understands this political game for the longest. He's been there from 1982. So you're talking of about 43 years in experience. He always has one leg inside and one leg where? Outside.
True.
And last week he made a very clear statement. And he said, if I win that seat, well and good. And if I don't win I am a Kenyan.
Exactly.
And I will come back and I will do what Kenyans want me to do. So what has he told you?
Yes.
He's going to be in the ballot.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it kind of coincides with what Sifuna said as well.
Exactly.
It would be silly for ODM not to field a candidate,
Yes.
knowing very well UDA are so unpopular, they've lost the mountain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus. So that 10 million, that conversation is you're still committed.
Oh, of course.
Na sasa asiposhinda si tunaweza gawana tu hiyo do hapa hivi.
Yo, Mwesh, thanks for coming through, man.
Yeah.
It's been real. Okay.
One more question.
Yeah.
With some of the laws that you've said
Yes.
going through with the increase of import taxes and
Yes.
everything, let me just read you a small statement here. So Kenya's Communications Authority has proposed a substantial increase in licensing fee for internet services, satellite internet services, where the cost of a 15-year license was 12,000 and now they want to move it to 115,000. Is that a way that, in a way, we're kicking out foreign investors and businesses that could invest in Kenya to increase its growth?
And you see, that's why I said when we talk about the situation in Kenya, we need to have a very open mind. And I've told you, you look at all the policies that are being implemented in this country for the last 2-3 years, and you realize there's no policy that is actually going to solve our problem. It's creating more havoc. So that begs the question, why are we still going down that road? Yet very well we know there's nothing more you can tax Kenyans, but you're still introducing new taxes. So that tells you there's a bigger agenda more than what we are seeing. And that's why I'm saying Kenya has been held hostage. So I told you, one of the biggest implementations this New World Order agenda foresees is creation of what you call CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies. And for that to happen, the first thing they have to do is to ensure they crash the economies of all these countries. See, it's simple. If I want to build an economy of a country, I only want to do one thing. I have to ensure everyone has money in their pockets.
Yeah.
Because economies are built by circulation, money in circulation. When I have money and you have money and he has money, we all spend. The government is earning through VAT and all those things. But if you look at the Kenyan situation, all these taxes being brought in. Today, you're told more than 245, 250 international companies have already left Kenya.
Yeah.
They are moving to Tanzania. Today, from number 1, we are number 5 in terms of GDP growth. Rwanda is leading with 6.9. Number 2 is Uganda, 5.6. South Sudan has a 5.6. Tanzania has a 5.5. We are stuck at 5.0, 5.1. Why? These policies you're talking about. So we as Kenyans have to sober up. And this goes to the leadership. As in, it costs nothing for leaders to decide that building a country is all about baking a bigger cake. So today we have a leadership that is all scrambling for this small piece of cake. What they don't know is that once you bake a bigger cake, you'll even have enough for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is how they're supposed to think. You know? But if you look at the situation and the way these things are being implemented day in, day out, it tells you we're in a very big problem. And the government of the day has been held hostage. And we have to say as is. And that's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
There's
right.
nothing for free.
Yeah. Jeez, exactly. There's no free lunch.
There's nothing for free. You look at the GDP, the debt as a percentage to GDP has risen from about 65% to about 71.8%. How do you do that? And indicators are there. Look at the non-performing loans. It's gone up from about 15% to about 16.8, 17%. So those small indicators should tell you that things are not okay. You cannot harm people more. If people are not even able to pay those loans and the banks are not loaning anymore, it means things are not okay. So the more you tax business people, the more you chase these foreign investors, we are crashing this system.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a political ideology.
Right.
You know, there is one thing they say that in politics, the best way to control the masses is make sure they are broke.
That's
because they can't go to Mandamana for 3 days.
Exactly.
Because they will be hungry.
Yeah. So maybe that maybe it's like that because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mahesh, for coming through.
Yeah.
We've had a very awesome conversation with you.
Yeah.
What is your word for Kenyan youth? You know, most of them I see they relate with you, though. You're always engaging with them. I was reading something from a stat by Infotrack, and they were talking about how 80% of Kenyans are pessimistic about the economic prospects of this year. You know, what do you foresee happening? You know, are you optimistic? Should we be more resilient? Or what's the word? What do you foresee, Ukombele?
I mean, you know, for me, I base my arguments on facts, and as I've said, I'm still not seeing proper policies that will take us out of that hole. But as citizens, as Kenyans, you know, the most beautiful thing about Kenya and Kenyans is that we have always managed to get out of any situation we are in, and we move on. So number one, Kenyans should not lose hope.
Yeah.
Number two, what you need to understand, whether we like it, whether Kenyans like it or not, His Excellency President William Ruto is the president of the day. The Kenya Kwanza government is the government of the day. So it is our collective responsibility to ensure we speak to the government and tell it what it needs to do. If they cannot do what they promised, if they cannot do what is pertained for them to do, we have 2 years to go into elections. We've nganganad for 3 years. We can sacrifice this remaining 2 years, hold on to it, and make the right decisions. If they're not able to do it,
Okay.
if they're not able to do it, they still have a chance.
Yeah.
And these things, for me, honestly, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. If the president has been held hostage and these people are the people pushing all these implementations, come out and tell us. We will demonstrate and say, you guys, get the hell out of here and stop destroying our nation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, our biggest obligation is Kenya. Kenya is our business and our business is Kenya.
That's true.
Our role and our assignment in life should be and must always be to leave Kenya better than we found it.
And that's how we wrap up this conversation.
So
Thanks
young
so
people,
much.
don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
And understand political change in a country is done through a political process. The political process entails you understanding the political game. Get involved into politics. Speak to your people. You know, we make noise, and that's why the political class is laughing at you. Do you know what they're saying? Mutapiga kelele kwa mtandao, lakini huku tutawamali.
Yeah.
What has the government done? It's marshaled the political class. So it is the political class versus the masses. And because they are the masters of the political game, they will always win. So it is until the citizens get into the political game, understand it, and be part of it. Young people register as voters, start speaking, start identifying leaders amongst yourselves. That is the only way you can come out from this predicament.
Thanks a lot, Mahesh. It's been real. What a way to wrap up this conversation, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about 19 minutes to the top of the hour. Use Me by Shaggy coming through in a bit. Keep it locked on #AfterHours on Spice. We'll be back shortly.